Hi everybody, my name is Todd Draper. I'm a solutions engineer here at Nitel and part of the Advanced Configuration Engineering team. We're the guys in orange. This is Nitel's video series that provides both partners and IT professionals education and insight into the latest technology solutions. Now before we get started, please take a moment to click the subscribe button so you're notified when we post new content. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get started. Our presentation is going to be on the Nitel SD-WAN portal, which is powered by Versa as our SD-WAN vendor. I'm going to take you through a few of the screens so you'll know the exact customer experience that you would feel when you go onto the Nitel customer portal. Now the first thing I want to point out is the analytics that we provide is a real differentiator in that you're now seeing a true single pane of glass view, not only into the overall network, but for individual locations, as well as a multi-tenant view. Now the data we're going to be displaying today, we have set up 3 locations. Those customer locations are located in Seattle, Dallas, and Chicago, with our controller 1 and our controller 2, which are the brains of the SD-WAN, which are held in our data centers in Chicago and Dallas. We have dual redundant data centers with dual redundant controllers here at Nitel. As you'll find when we go through the presentation and the demo, everything is very easy to read. Interaction comes out fantastic. Every screen you can click into and drill down and get further data. And you also don't have to be an IT genius to know what you're looking at and to know what you're reading. I always just like to point out when we start the demo presentation, you'll see a map of all your local locations. And keep in mind that if a location in Washington needs to talk to Atlanta, it does not need to bounce through a gateway or a data center or a head end. These create private IPsec tunnels between the 2 locations. So if there was an outage in your network, your remote locations or your data centers and your head end would still be able to talk to each other. Now, further with analytics, it gives a real visibility not into only the SD-WAN network, but also into the stateful and next-gen firewall features, all the way up to next-gen with UTM firewall feature sets, which we'll touch on a little bit later. Within the analytics, you can sort by tenant, you can look into department or group, you can search by a time period or a particular appliance. As far as time period, if you want to take a look into the last 15 minutes, the last 30 days, or even a custom range, you have that ability too. So what we're going to look at is the last 30 days of information. Each one of these locations that we're going to look at in Seattle, Dallas, and Chicago has an MPLS connection and also an internet connection. So users can drill down into both the entire network or branch sites. You can look into bandwidth utilization. You can look into circuit availability. You can look into your top access circuits by bandwidth. But not only that, you can look into what your top applications are. You can look into what certain SLA metrics that you have for those locations and if those are being met or if you're seeing violations. Users also have the ability to do some trend analysis for each type of circuit so they get a forward look into the network utilization. And then also we can create reports that can be easily emailed out on an automatic or recurring basis or instantaneously. So let's start to take a look here. So I'm located out of Chicago. We're going to take a look into the Chicago network here. And you'll see right away here are your tabs to take a look at. You can look into the usage of your network. You can look into the availability of your network over a certain time frame. So you can now have that information for you that, okay, I see the Chicago network has been bouncing over a certain time period. Now you have that knowledge base that you can make changes to either get a additional cable connection or a dedicated internet connection in there, or possibly switch carriers. Or you could do some traffic shaping. You know, if you have 2 different connections there, maybe you want to make sure your voice traffic continues down your MPLS connection where your Facebook traffic goes out your DSL or cable connection. You can take a look into the access circuits. You can compare your bandwidth utilization between your internet and your MPLS. Not only that, you can look at the up and the down bandwidth too. Or if you just want to compare your internet up and your downtime. You can do that as well. You can look into specific applications that your users are accessing on your network. We'll touch a little bit more on this later, but right here, if you want to just take a look, we'll pick on Facebook. Very interactive. You just click right on Facebook. You could take a look at the amount of sessions that occurred over a time period there. You can look into certain rules within your network that you have set up, as well as any SLA metrics. Not only that, you can look into those SLA metric classifications and statistics as far as measurements are concerned. You can look into violations, SLA violations that you're seeing on your network. So very, very interactive, very cool, and very easy to read information. Also going down in here, we just took a look at Chicago, but what if you want to take a look at your network as a whole? So this screen here, you're looking at your bandwidth utilization compared over your Chicago, your Dallas, your Seattle, as well as your controllers. And then you can also take a look into the availability of those connections over a time frame. So, you see your traffic here for your controller 1 and 2, but you go down here to Seattle and you see, oh, you know what? I had an outage over a certain time period. You take that information and look into why did I have that outage? Did we have a circuit down? Did we have, was there a data center down? So you have that ability now to take that little deeper dive into what you're looking at as far as your network connectivity. So the next section we're going to take a look at here is the security and application section. Now users gain visibility again, not only into the SD-WAN network, but now you have that access into the firewall and next-gen firewall feature sets. And this is a real difference maker in that most other SD-WAN vendors don't have these native next-gen firewall feature sets with UTM that could be layered on top of their next-gen firewall features. So before, users would have to have toggled between many different platforms or systems to get this type of reporting. And now it's all here in a single pane of glass view. So again, we have 3 different flavors of firewall feature sets here. Out of the box, it comes with a built-in stateful firewall, but not only that is we can add a next-gen firewall feature set in there and a next-gen with UTM. So we have 3 different flavors of firewall capabilities, and those are just built right into the SD-WAN software. The next-gen with UTM gives you everything that you would want as far as IDS, IPS, your anti-malware, your antivirus. The next-gen firewall feature sets also has URL classification as well as geolocation filters on there that can easily be adjusted and identified. Not only that is Versa and Nitel provide over 2,600 predefined applications such as Office 365, Salesforce, Google. Now everything's out in the cloud. So these applications can now be monitored by bandwidth consumption, by overall usage. Applications can also be tagged off of productivity rankings. They can be given a risk factor and a productivity factor based on a 1 to 5 scale. So all these rankings are already predetermined. We already know that your Office 365 and your Salesforce, those applications are going to take precedence on your network over something bandwidth intensive, such as a Netflix or another bandwidth intensive application. But not only that, besides for predefined applications that we already know about, users can also tag applications that are unique to your organization. If you have a homegrown sales application or an ordering system, we can tag those applications to make sure they take priority over something like a Netflix or another bandwidth intensive application. Along those lines here, again, if you take a look in your applications, it'll show you where your users are going. So you could take a look into there. It's going to give you your source address, as well as the time and date that it happened, as well as being able to look into the number of sessions that happened over a specified time frame. You also have the ability to look into the category of a top bandwidth consuming application. Let's say you go on here one day, and not to pick on Netflix, but Netflix ends up being your network's largest bandwidth consuming application. Well, you now have that data in front of you to know not only is Netflix taking up all our bandwidth but now you have the ability to act on that. You can either remove Netflix from your environment, or you can do some traffic shaping where you send maybe Netflix out your DSL connection to keep your MPLS or your dedicated internet connection open, and your users can just fight over that cable connection for that Netflix usage. Along the security lines, we've also predefined 83 URL categories that we can grant user rights or admin rights to. We can blacklist or whitelist certain categories. And again, everything is very interactive. If you want to just look in there and see the number of times or number of sessions that your users went into a certain URL category, as well as being able to identify who those users were and when they accessed that category. And by examining that application usage for a particular circuit, again, keep in mind, this is very critical because you can make those business decisions and make those routing adjustments for that circuit, for those users, to shape that traffic that is more beneficial to your organization. Also within the security features, you can look into your top rules. You can look into some of your top destination addresses or your source addresses. You can see within your network what some of your top protocols are, what are your top threat types. But not only that, you get to look into some of the security feature sets where you can look into what are my top malware infected applications. Not only that, what are my vulnerabilities? You can see the source address for those vulnerabilities or the destination address as well. So again, before we used to have to toggle between multiple different platforms. This security features are located here in one central location. Again, being able to look at a full firewall feature set that you would have from any cloud-based or CPE-based firewall. Now the last section we're going to take a look at is the live monitoring section. So for the first time, you have the ability to take a live look into your network. So what you're seeing here is the bandwidth utilization over the interface at this location that we have set up in Chicago. Here's your MPLS connection, here's your internet connection, here's your local LAN connection. You're now able to watch traffic in real time. So you would see if there was a break in that connection at some point within your network. You also have that ability to look within the CPE itself and look at that bandwidth utilization. You can see the CPE resources. You also have the view to look into any recent events going on. So do we have a critical outage in the network, major or minor? Is there an intermediate or just a straight up warning within your network? You can also look into the interfaces. You'll see here, it just gives you that live quick look in to know that my internet connection is up, to know my MPLS connection is up, as well as my local LAN connection. Not only that, is you can see in live time my policy violations. Are we having packets dropped because we have no available link? And not only that, are packets maybe being dropped because we had an SLA violation? Or were they forwarded, attributed due to an SLA action? So now you have that ability to have that live monitoring that we haven't really been able to see before. Also within the analytics, you have the ability to create reports. Now reports can be created customizable for the whole network or for a particular CPE device. You just go right into the reporting section. You'll see you have your different choices. You can go into your customer location, choose the time frame. You can look into the service. Do I want to take a look at my SD-WAN network? Maybe I want to look at my security settings. You also have the ability then to drill down into the report type itself, your site usage, your access circuit usage, your applications as well. And then the individual appliance, or taking a look into the network as a whole. You can then create those reports, manage them, and you can have those reports saved, scheduled, completed. But if you go to a saved report here, your site availability, it's as easy as clicking on that report, clicking schedule. Now you can email that report out instantly. You can email that report out hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly. Just fill in the end user's address, go ahead and click OK, and it creates and sends that report out. Not only that, I'm going to show you a sample report here. This is a sample UTM report that you see. Again, you don't have to be an IT genius to start to be able to look into some of the information that's located on this report, your top threats, your top applications you see within your environment, your top URL categories. You know, right here I always like to stop at sports and job search, which take up nearly 47% of your network. Our utilization or your URL categories are being accessed for sports and job search. So again, you have that information, but not only, you now have that ability to act on that information and make those proper changes into your network.
Thank you for tuning in to the Guys in Orange series. If you want to learn more, check us out online at nitelusa.com or contact your Nitel representative.